to the Chamber Leadership Alliance and today's Chamber Leadership Development Program training.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Akriti Rana, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I am the program manager of the Chamber Leadership Alliance. Today, I'd like to welcome you all to the Chamber Leadership Development Program on being an effective leader, cultivating leaders. Before I welcome our keynote speaker, I would like to mention a few housekeeping items. This session is being recorded, and all CLDP presentations and recordings will be uploaded on the CLA website after this webinar series on leadership and chamber governance ends this week. We encourage you all to share the presentations and recording with your fellow chamber leadership. Please be sure to use the chat and Q&A function on the Zoom platform for any questions. These questions will be answered during the Q&A sessions at the end of the program. Also, thank you everyone who filled out the pre-training survey for today's training. And be sure to fill out the post-training survey as well, which you will all receive in your email. Lastly, we would like to welcome you all to the CLA Coffee Connection, which is an optional 30-minute networking event at the conclusion of the training today. The link for registration will also be shared in the chat box below. Now, I'd like to welcome you. I'd like to welcome our keynote speaker for the day, Ms. Michelle Coyle. Michelle is an expert in scaling small businesses and is passionate about helping entrepreneurs thrive. With 17 years of experience as an entrepreneur, management consultant, and an angel investor under her belt, she knows what it takes to help small businesses and entrepreneurs thrive while still staying rooted in authenticity and honoring their unique identities. Michelle is also the president at BGSD Strategies. Michelle, welcome.
Thank you so much, Kriti and the Chamber Leadership Alliance. I'm so happy to be here with you today. So I'm just gonna go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. I'm so excited to welcome you all today and talk to you about becoming an effective leader and cultivating other leaders, especially as you're in board roles and working with other people that you're not necessarily directly charged of or directly managing. So we're going to talk a lot about how to cultivate leadership among peers and among volunteers today. So I'm excited to get started. So I'm really glad you're here. Thank you for giving yourself this space. I know you have lots of other things that you could be doing today, but it's really, really cool that you've shown up to take this time for yourself, to take this time to learn, and I'm honored. So thank you for coming and sharing this time with me as well. So today we're going to be talking about leadership, and we're going to be covering some of the universal concepts and truths about how to be a great leader, including the core question that you must answer in order to be a great leader, how to supercharge your leadership power, the one great thing all leaders have in common, how to create strength from diversity, and the secret to cultivating unity to supercharge your outcomes. Okay, so first though, I want us to set an intention. So if you have a paper and pen near you, or if you're typing notes, that's fine. But I want you to just grab something to write with, and I want you to take a second and write down, just capture your intention for today. Why did you show up today? What is it that you're wanting to learn? What is it that you were wanting to get in touch with about yourself or about how to be a better leader? Write that down. It's really, really important for us to understand going in what it is we want to get out of this. You're going to get so much more out of it if you do that. So I'll give you a second, grab something, set your intention for the day. Okay, great. So while you're doing that, I'll tell you a little bit about who I am. My name is Michelle Coyle. I'm president of BGSD Strategies. My pronouns are she or they. I started my first business 18 years ago, and I've been a serial entrepreneur ever since. I caught the bug. I'm addicted to it. I love it. I eat, live, and breathe entrepreneurship. So I am known for training LGBTQIA, queer entrepreneurs, how to launch and grow small businesses past the $1 million a year mark fast. So we work with anybody who's just starting out to people who have been in business for 20 years and just never cracked that nut yet to be able to scale bigger. But my passion is really working with small entrepreneurs and getting them over that hump to get those big life breakthroughs that come from starting a successful business. In the course of this work, I have coached hundreds of people, and I've worked on almost every type of business you can think of and with almost every type of person that you can think of. I have to get this in there that I have an MBA from the Tuck School of Business at Dartmouth, because I never know if there's other Tuckies or Dartmouth people on the line. So shout out if you are. Hello, welcome. And just a little bit about me. I'm queer, I'm a mom. My passion is helping people who are marginalized and overlooked in corporate America go out and get for themselves what they're not often given. And we do that through entrepreneurship. And in the course of that, now I have started to become more of a leadership and management trainer, as well as we start to work with some of the larger small businesses toward how do we cultivate diversity and how do we bring out everybody's best leadership strengths. So that's me. I'm just really excited to be talking to you guys today. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is start with why, but I want you to think as we're going through these and kind of tag yourself, as the kids say these days, pick yourself out of this. Because when we're looking to solve problems, right, we all have a core question that we go to first, and that's based on our personality and our personality profile. So creative type people, I'm actually one of these, will often start with what? What do we need to do? What's the answer? What's the solution here? You'll know you're this kind of person if in your free time or your free desk time, if you ever get that, you default to making something new or creating something, writing, creating art, I like to create presentations and things like this. So if you're that type of person, you'll recognize that you tend to start with the question, what? People, like extroverted people that like to network, those kind of people tend to start with who, right? Who do I need to bring in order to get this problem solved? Where are the experts? Who do I know that I can answer this question? If you recognize yourself there, if you start with who do I need to help me solve this problem? That's the kind of person that you are. Now, sensory people will start with when. These are my people that are really great at timing. Maybe if you're an investor, you're really great at timing the market, or just strategically, you're great at knowing when to approach somebody with a question or something like that. You're starting with the question when. When is the right time to do this? And my detail-oriented people will often start with how. How exactly are we going to do this? What's the nitty-gritty, etc. Right? 4 kinds of people, but everybody of course should really be starting with the core question, which is why. So let's do a quick assessment. You've got your pencil and paper. Did you identify with one of those types of people that I just talked about? When somebody asks you what you do for a living or brings a problem to you, do you tend to lead with what, like a job title, right? Who, like how you relate to the team, like, oh, well, I manage a team of 72 people doing X, Y, and Z. Do you tend to lead with how? Oh, well, here's exactly what I do day to day. Here's how I do it. Or when? Well, when such and such has a problem, I'm the one that comes in and does X or Y or Z. So which type of person are you? Just identify it real quick and write it down for me. Okay, so why, right? Well, why is the universal question, right? Because we know that everybody's approaching with these other 4 questions depending on their personality, but everyone can train themselves to start with why. So when we do this is like having a magic translation machine that's going to allow us to speak to anyone in a way that will get through to them, because I can talk about why, you can talk about why, we can talk to anybody about why, and if we can get people in touch with why, then we're all speaking the same language all of a sudden. So of course, all leadership starts with leading ourselves. And we start with our own personal why first, because we want to focus our own intentions and direct our own efforts first. Then we can utilize why to focus on the intentions and direct the efforts of other people. So here's the shift, right? So think about what you wrote down a minute ago about the question you tend to answer, the what, the how, the when, the who. But what would happen if you focused on answering the question why instead and first? This is something we can train ourselves to do. Our why is our compass, because clear purpose always precedes clear direction, right? So we're all familiar with how companies will do mission statements, organizations do mission statements, lots of people sit together and put something together, and that clarifies direction so the whole team can pull together. But do you have a personal mission statement? Have you sat down and done this for yourself? In the same way a company or an organization needs a mission statement to set direction for the team and for the agenda and what's going on, you need to first set a mission statement for yourself. You need to set direction for yourself and understand who you are, what you're trying to do, what your role is there. Because it is really, really hard to lead anyone else if you don't know where you're going, what you're doing, why you're doing it, why you're interested in doing it in the first place, right? How many of you know people that just, and I don't think this is you because I know I'm talking to leaders here, but I know you probably know other people who just kind of go about life, right? They just kind of let things happen to them, and it can even be frustrating, right? Oh, this happened to me. This happened to me at work. This happened to me in my relationship. This happened to me. And you never hear that, you know, I'm trying to happen to other things, right? And that's because they don't really know why. They're just kind of being reactive and just kind of going with what's happening, going with the flow. We want to make sure that we are proactively setting a direction, and that really starts with understanding what we want to do and why. See, I said what, because I'm a creative person, and why we want to do it, right? Okay, so how do we find our why? All right, so first we're gonna start with our desired outcome. This is personal still, right? We're gonna talk about organizational stuff in a minute, I promise. But first, start with your personal most desired outcome. This can be a personal thing, like I just wanna be able to take care of my family. You know, I just wanna be able to have enjoyment in my work and feel fulfilled and feel utilized. Or it can be something societal. You might have a social justice mission that really underlies everything you do, or just something that you wanna see happening in the world. Start with that, get your pen and paper, just write that down real quick. What is it that is your core, just off the cuff, just from your gut? What is the most desired outcome that you can think of? Write it down. Don't think it. Don't overthink it. Okay. Once you got that, I want you to think about the people most affected by the outcome. What does this do for them, right? If your outcome is, I want to take care of my family, think about what that actually means, right? What does that do for them? Why do you want to do that? Same thing for a social justice issue, a core mission, core value. What is it? What's the end result of that? Write that down. Why do you care about this thing? I mean, that might seem like a silly question to you because you care about it so much, but there's lots and lots and lots of people in the world that don't care at all about the thing that you just wrote down. So why specifically do you care about that thing? Take a second, write that down. And now, what role are you best suited to play in achieving that outcome? Why are you the person or a key person in that movement, in that mission? Why you? Write that down. And finally, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? So when you're gone, what is it that you want your obituary to say? What is it that you want people to remember about you? What do you want to have accomplished or done on the earth? Take a second, write that down. Great. So from these answers, you should be starting to get a really core, and I know some of you have do a lot of this work, and some of you don't. We're always talking to a wide variety of people, right? But if you've never done that, you should be starting to get a really core sense of what your why is. And if you've done that before and you do lots of this work, great. I hope you also got a renewed sense of what your why is and we're able to refocus on it today. And let's talk about directing that focus every day. And that's what we call mindset in our mindset practice. So getting and staying in this alignment with your why requires daily mindset work. It's just like if you want to be fit, you might have to work out, 3, 5, 7 days a week. You want big muscles, you got to go to the gym. You want big mindset muscles, you got to do this work every single day to redirect your focus, even if you've been doing it your whole life, right? So just 2 minutes a day of focusing on your why is going to go a really, really long way in directing those outcomes and making you into a more proactive person and a more proactive leader. You're going to know that your mindset is rock solid and really strong when you're just not bothered by any haters, when all of that stuff is bouncing off you, you got a thick skin, and when people seem excited and inspired by you. Okay, so this is one of my just favorite little anecdotes. The book is The Boat. It's from Joseph Murphy, and he's a kind of a woo-woo mindset guru from the 30s. If you ever read his stuff, I'll give you a caveat off the top. It was written in the 30s, and so women are referred to as housewives and things like that. You kind of got to put it through that filter, that modern filter. But he's got some really good nuggets of stuff in there, and this is one. He talks about a boat, and he talks about the role of identity and the role of suggestion on the boat. And so what he says is, if you are somebody who has never been on a boat before and you're very afraid to be on the boat, and you finally get up the courage and you step on the boat, you know, you walk on, maybe you're holding somebody's hand, you get on the boat and you're kind of leaning against the railing, and somebody comes up to you and says, hey, you look a little seasick, you'd probably say, oh my gosh, you're right. They say, you know, you probably ought to sit down. You're looking really kind of green. I say, oh my gosh, you're right. I'm totally going to go sit down. Now, if you are a sailor and you've been in the Navy for 20 years and you're standing at the railing of a boat like this and somebody comes up to you and says, you look a little seasick, you're looking a little green, you might want to sit down. Your reaction is going to be totally different. I've been on boats since before you were born. You know, I've lived on a boat for 2 years at a time. What are you talking about? I'm totally fine, right? Same exact stimulus, same exact suggestion from the person walking up to you, but based on your identity, you're reacting completely differently to that stimulus. And that, when I first read, was very profound to me. And it's something that I want to think about all the time, about how is my identity, or what I'm holding in myself, how is that affecting how I react to stimulus? What do I feel, or what do I say, or what do I think, or what do I believe when people are walking up and saying things to me, or when circumstances are happening around me? Okay, so in order to get this alignment into practice, we want to focus on putting that core identity into place every day proactively, because if you don't create something, something will occur in its place, right? So we want to proactively create something so we're not just stuck with whatever has occurred as our identity. Right? So here's what I do, and you can adopt this if you'd like. You can create a personal mindset statement for the basis of your daily practice, and you just write this out. You can print it out, put it by your bed, whatever, read it. I like to do mine in the shower every day because that's where my kids can't get me. That's when I know I won't be interrupted. But I want to make sure, you know, for my mindset practice, that it has the following elements, right? First, we always start with gratitude. This just gets us out of the lizard brain back here in the prefrontal cortex, where we feel fear and we're scared, and it gets us back up into the logical brain where we can really process. So that gratitude, I like to future pace it, right? So look into the future about a year. You know, if you're leading an organization, you've got that mission, that why that you wrote down, and just imagine that everything's gone beautifully and perfectly, and that you're a year closer to whatever that is, or you've achieved that outcome, whatever that is, and look back in your gratitude and say, thank you that I was able to lead a team to achieve mission X. Thank you that my family has everything they need. I grew up poor, so I would start, when I started doing this, I would start with thank you that my fridge is full of food. When I open the fridge, that everything that I need is in there, and thank you that I have a nice car in the driveway, and thank you that my kids are taken care of. So you can even start with, I call that soothing the lizard. Right? If you've been worried about base things like that, just thank you that I'm okay right now. And also thank you for this thing that I'm about to achieve. Then we go to identity. It's really important that we proactively set our identity. Remember that boat, right? So who are you? Who do you intend to be today? Right? Are you somebody that's never been on a boat before and is really scared? Or are you a sailor that's been on a boat for 20 years? This isn't about pretending, by the way, to be something that you're not. This is just about tapping into the most powerful iteration of yourself. So this could be anything from, you know, I'm a badass business owner, to I lead an amazing team. I'm an amazing board member. I'm an amazing governor, right? I'm an amazing father. Whatever it is, what are you feeling that you're really tapped into? And again, you can future pace it if you want to, right? I lead a team that has accomplished X mission. Right? So just start that identity declaration with I am, and that can change every day. I'll adopt one, I'll use it for a couple of weeks, and then I'll adopt another one when I need one with more power, right? Purpose, let's get that in there. What's that why, right? Get your purpose declaration in there. Take the form of I am here to X, I am here to accomplish this. If you're religious, you can tap into that, whatever you want, but why are you here? Why do you exist? What's the meaning of you? I am here to X. Okay, and then the intention to get this into action. So what actions are you going to take today to further the mission? So your intention can take the form of today I will. Write this down. I would love to see you practice this daily. I always tell my clients, as they look at me like this is cheesy sometimes, I say, oh, this is like Stuart Smalley stuff. You know, I'm looking in the mirror saying, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough. I say, give me 2 weeks. Do it for 2 weeks. If you still hate it, if you feel cheesy, you can stop. They always come back 2 weeks in and say, I'm going to do this every day for the rest of my life because the results that I've been getting from doing this are so amazing. So I know it sounds silly. I know it sounds cheesy. Trust me, try it out. If you hate it, you don't have to do it anymore. Part of why this is powerful is because we are acting as if, right? So when we set a vision, and we can really, I mean, when I set a vision, I really love to close my eyes and feel that whole mental movie. Like, what does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it taste like? Who's there? What does it smell like? What's the, you know, before I got my big fancy office in DC, I had this vision of it, right? I saw my company letters up on the wall. I felt how heavy my bag would be walking in, and how I would drop it on my desk, and how I could feel the relief of dropping on my desk. I could see that in my mind so clearly. Once I started visioning that, I mean, it was only a couple of months before that happened. If you sit in that vision and you stay future paced and you know where you're going, you're going to naturally be talking about it, sharing it. It's going to be exuding from you. It's going to be exciting. This helps to make you magnetic, which is really core element of leadership. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So try acting as if, especially when it comes to those tough decisions. When we have things that are stressing us out, we need to make a tough decision. We're often focused on the stress before that decision. Oh my gosh, we're hemming and hawing. What's it going to be like to have to do this? What's it going to be like? What if they react this way, or this person's going to be upset, or I'm going to have to deal with this, or I'm going to feel bad, or this. So try to just fast forward yourself through all the icky stuff and into the outcome that you want, and really sit in how wonderful it's going to feel when whatever the problem has been taken care of, and now you can relax into the outcome. Act as if that's already done. Trust that this hard work and these challenges that you're going through are going to pay off and are going to get you to where you want to be going. This is not the same as faking it till you make it, because you're not faking anything here. What you're doing is creating something real that you really will achieve. I promise you really will achieve it if you're able to get in this vision, in this mental movie, and feel what it feels like to be in the outcome. So when you're focused like this, when you focus every single day on your own vision, you're aligned with your own why, you can accomplish a ton. You can accomplish so much. This is where we see people doing 10x or 20x, whatever they were doing before, because they just took that daily time to focus themselves. But of course, you can always accomplish even more when you're able to enroll other people in that vision so that they can see the big picture, and you can leverage their strengths as well to move toward that common purpose, that common mission. So this is why effective leadership is so vital to accomplishing the most impactful outcomes. We have to have somebody that can set the vision, bring everybody else under that umbrella and say, hey y'all, here's where we're going. Here's what we're doing. Let's go. Let's all row the boat together. Okay, so let's talk about you as a leader for a second, because I know obviously we're talking to a diverse group of people here, which I love it. That's my jam. You know, we haven't, the people here, people on this call, myself and all of you, we haven't really seen ourselves a ton represented in the media. We're starting to a little bit more, but not so great. I don't know, you know, I don't want to get into politics really, but it meant so much to me to see Kamala speaking the other day, because I haven't seen somebody that looks like Kamala making a speech like that. I was really teared up watching it, and watching the little Black girls and the little Asian girls watch Kamala on the screen and seeing their faces. It was so amazing to me, because we haven't seen a ton of that. Leaders tend to look the same in the media, right? But in reality, all sorts of different people make great leaders. We don't have to be in that box to be a good leader. So being a leader doesn't mean changing who you are or trying to make yourself more like that box of a leader that we've all seen our whole lives on TV and in movies and in popular media. It just means being able to tap into and maximize our own unique strengths, because there's only one you in the whole world. And if you can tap into what makes you amazing, specifically, then you are going to be a very powerful leader indeed. Let's talk about that unique identity as your authority, as a starting place for your authority. Okay, so why should you be the leader, right? Why should you be the leader? I mean, look, you've been through a lot in your life, right? Some of us more than others, but I think people on this call are probably fairly seasoned. We'll use that word, seasoned leaders, and we're of a certain age at this point. Been through a lot in your life, and that has made you the best kind of weirdo. It has made you a really interesting and unique individual. Nobody else has lived your exact life. That identity is really, really powerful. That lived experience gives you a unique perspective that can be so, so helpful to others when you're able to really tap into it. So this does include things like your racial, ethnic, gender, sexual orientation, ability, identities. Those are important. Of course, representation matters so much. So does your personal values, your strategic insights, your cultivated empathy, right? No, this is not a monolith in any way. None of these groups are a monolith. Every single person here is unique. And this is about taking all of those different facets about who you are and showing up as the powerful and amazing and individual and unique you, right? So when you embody your own special, unique authority, it's magic. because it gives other people the permission to do the same thing. And that is really, really cool and really, really powerful. Think about that. Think about the places where you in your life have felt safe, and the people that you have felt safe with, and the people that you have been excited and energized with. I know you have those friends. I have a few of those friends that I sit down with that friend and they're telling me everything that they're doing, and I'm telling them everything that I'm doing. And we're so excited for each other, and we're spinning each other up. We're feeling so safe to just be in our full embodiment, to be positive, to be excited, to be on purpose, to be on mission, right? When you can show up and talk about how excited you are and what you're doing and where you're going and just the path that you're on, you're going to give everyone else permission to think about that for themselves and express it back to you. And that is super, super, super cool, super powerful. All right, so this all, of course, starts with knowing yourself really intimately well, right? Because you can't maximize anybody else's strengths until you maximize your own. I mean, look, when you're managing people in a business situation, there is a little bit of stuff that you can do in terms of just strong arming. I mean, I don't recommend it, but you could, you know, if you're an authority. But a lot of times, with the type of leadership we're talking about here today, you're not necessarily in an authority position over somebody. If they're a volunteer, if you're at peer level, or if you're managing up, you've still got to figure out how to manage other people's strengths. Right? And it becomes especially important to be able to do that deftly, but you can't do that until you have learned to maximize your own strengths first. So we're going to start here. This requires a deep self-knowledge, right? I am a nerd, of course. I love personality tests like Myers-Briggs or like DISC, Enneagrams, whatever you want to do. A new personality test makes me super happy. I love it. Love to find the strengths, Strengths Finder, you know, 5 forces, all of that stuff. That's a great starting point. None of that beats personal introspection. I mean, I would suggest if you haven't done that, that you do all of those things, or as many as you can find, and then really start to think about, how does this show up in my life? What do I feel that I'm strong at? Where do I feel like I'm weak or have room to grow? You know, how do I interact with other people? What type of person am I? And, you know, how am I bouncing off the world? How's the world bouncing off of me? Back to that boat. How am I showing up? And how does that influence what happens when I get a suggestion from an outside force or an outside person, right? Also, please consider asking your friends and family for feedback. These are the people who know you best. If you really want to nerd out about it, you could do a formal survey, but really just coming to people and saying, hey, I'm really trying to get to know myself and my strengths as a leader. Would you mind just taking a few minutes and telling me what's great about me, what's awful about me, you know, what do you love about me, what really frustrates you about me? Talk to the people that know you best, that you know are going to give you the real deal, because that is where the value lies. And say, don't sugarcoat it for me. Just tell me exactly what you think, exactly what I need to hear here. Always, always, always try your best to be receptive to this feedback. Now, you don't have to be receptive to feedback from everybody. That's not what I'm saying. Obviously, there are people that aren't your people. Their opinions don't matter as much. But when you're asking your people, your family, your friends, your coworkers, people that you work with in a volunteer capacity, anybody that knows you, say, please give me the real deal. And then you be receptive to it as much as you can. Honest feedback is a rare and valuable gift. If somebody is telling you the truth, even if it's ugly, even if it stings a little bit, that means that they care about you enough to risk your hurt feelings and your rejection and your, you know, you coming back at them. So they're giving you a real gift, and you got to receive it as such. Also, you got to know the team. And when I'm talking about a team, it could be people that you're managing in a you know, it's paid staff type of scenario, but I'm also talking about a team when you're working with a bunch of volunteers, when you're on a board together, when you're working with other leaders around, if you're on committees at church, if you're, you know, in a family at home. Team broadly defined here. But when you're managing a team, right, of staff, you can ask directly for their personality information. I mean, you know, it's on the line a little bit. Can you require it? But you can say, hey, we're all doing the Strengths Finder today. Let's see what we can do. When it comes to other types of people that you're not directly managing or that you're not in direct authority over, you're probably not going to be able to do that. Or, you know, depending on how well you know them, you might, but it might be a little awkward. So you're going to have to rely on your powers of observation, deduction, really, really looking at everybody that you're coordinating or that you're working with from a lens of, what can I learn about this person? What can I observe? What can I see? Right? And so when I'm doing this, I'm looking for things like, what does this person care about? What is their identity, right? How are they showing up on the boat? And if you listen carefully, people will tell you their identity all the time. They'll what am I proud of, right? What do I talk about? If somebody is showing up and their identity is of a great father, and that you'll know that they're always going to be talking about their kids and all the cool things that they did with their kids. Or if their identity is as, a really successful entrepreneur, you're going to know that. They might even talk about how much money their business made, or how well the team's doing, or how well they crushed their outcomes. Notice that identity. Notice what's important to that person. And also notice what their triggers are, what's upsetting to them, what frustrates them. Try to figure out what motivates them intrinsically. We're all motivated by different things. Some people are motivated obviously by money or power. Some people are motivated by altruism. Some people are motivated by aesthetic surroundings, right? They just want to be somewhere that's nice and they want to feel good. Some people are motivated by learning, right? What are they motivated by? Where are their strengths? Where do they really, really shine? What is the thing that I can hand this kind of thing to this person and I don't even have to worry about it. They're going to get it done better than I could. It's going to be amazing. So really, really, really observing is important, especially when you're not in direct management and you can't just ask. This is going to help you play your part in coordinating an entire team, an entire crew, an entire board, whatever, to leverage each other's strengths so that you can accomplish the shared outcome all together. So this why, taking this why and these strengths together, that's where the magic happens, friends. So once you've got a sense of your own why, everybody else's why, and the respective strengths of everybody on the team, right? Taking the time to understand all of that is going to be amazing for you in terms of how much resistance just pops away. You're going to understand intuitively if somebody gets prickly or an argument starts. Why did that argument start? Why did they get upset? How can we talk to what they want instead of what they don't want? And how can I avoid their triggers? And how can I speak to their identity in a way that's going to allow them to come along and be enrolled in this big vision? The resistance will fade away when you get good at this. This is the secret. The one secret that I know the best for getting a lot of stuff done really, really quickly, really efficiently, and with everybody really having a good time while you do it, which is still important, right? So let's talk about integrity and all this, because we start to get in some things that, if you're not a very nice person or you're not working with integrity, you could be manipulative with this. That's not what we're suggesting at all. This is really about drawing people out so that they can shine and be in their best strength. So let's talk about leading with integrity and what that looks like for a second. Right? Because integrity is absolutely core to good leadership. So in my opinion, in the context of leadership, here's what integrity means. One, honest, transparent communication. I'm being honest with you. So I'm not just sneaking around trying to figure out your why, trying to figure out your motivations, trying to figure out what makes you tick and not telling you that. I might say, hey, I'd like to know more about you. I'd like to understand what makes you tick. What was it about that upset you? If that's an appropriate thing to ask, with that relationship. What was it about this that excites you? I want to get to know you better. I want to understand. Or here's how I'm feeling about this. And here's what makes me tick. And here's my triggers. And here's what upsets me. Or here's what excites me, right? You got to give it back. Honest, transparent communication is core to integrity, because opacity just means that everybody's going to be filling in their own stories. Remember, if you don't put it there, you don't create it, something is going to fill in that gap. Might as well be the real deal. All right. Keeping your word is core to good leadership. Now I'm from Oklahoma, so this is the way I say it, keeping your word. I don't know if I've got Southern people. I saw somebody from Dallas was on the call earlier. Southern people know keeping your word is important. Where I was growing up, didn't have any money. What we had was our word. What we had was sticking to our commitments. If you say you're going to do it, you got to do it. If you sign that contract, you're paying on that contract, right? If you tell your employer you're getting something done, you're getting it done. If you tell somebody on the volunteer team that you're getting something done, you're absolutely pulling your weight and getting it done. This is core. Nobody is going to trust you or follow you if you're not keeping your word and you're not sticking to your commitments. Only asking people to do things you're willing to do yourself. When I train entrepreneurs, we train them to learn every aspect of the business, even if they're not great at it, just to know what it's like, just to train themselves on it, just to get a sense before they start hiring other people, whether that's employees or contractors or vendors to come in and do that, who will invariably, a lot of those skills invariably be able to do a lot better than the entrepreneur themselves. Right? But we still want to know what it's like. What am I asking someone to do? When I have employees, I want to have done whatever I'm asking them to do so that I know that I'm not asking them to do something terrible or awful or too much, right? It's got to be something that I would be willing to step in and do if they have a sick day. It's the same thing, and even more so, if that's possible, when you're leading a team of volunteers, when you're on a board, when you're in that kind of capacity. And it's not about delegating something because you hate it. It might be, hey, you've got a strength over here that I don't have, and this is where I'm weak, so it would be better if you do this. But hey, if you really need me to do it, I can do it. I will absolutely do it. Everyone knows the difference between a leader who's delegating something because they hate it, they don't want to do it, and somebody that's saying, hey, maybe I'm not the best at this, maybe there's somebody else that can do it better. It's really important to make that distinction in your own mind and to output that to other people as well. So let's just talk about good leaders versus bad leaders real quick. I'm just going to use Mufasa and Scar because Lion King, you know, why not? Maybe a little throwback reference at this point, but I love them as examples of a good leader and a bad leader, right? So our good leader, Mufasa, inspiring, instilling hope, working with integrity, taking responsibility, caring about the pride, caring about people, caring about the lions under his leadership. Bad leader over here, Scar, requiring things, instilling fear, exploiting people, blaming others, using people, using force, right? These are the kind of people say, do it or else, do it because I'm the boss, like or I'm intimidating, or I'm scary, or I'm, throwing my weight around in some kind of way. I'm throwing my influence around in some kind of way. And we know when we get into the politics of some of these chambers and these boards that sometimes there's people that want to throw their weight around and just kind of scare people into doing something. That will work a lot of times in the short term, but that does not work in the long term. What happens is that erodes trust, it erodes confidence. People don't want to follow that person over time. They want to follow the person that's saying, hey guys, we can do it. Hey, my bad, I screwed this up, but I'm going to do better next time. Hey, what is it that you're trying to get out of this? Be a Mufasa, not a Scar. Let's talk about this integrity in practice for a second. Because to stay in alignment the way we're talking about, we want to keep this integrity at the forefront of every single thing that we do. This has to be core. So never lose sight of the people or the businesses that your organization serves and what you do to help them. Like, why do you do this? Don't lose sight of how you're actually helping, and remind yourself every single day in that mindset practice, because of me, these people can do X, or this business can do X because of us, because of the work that we're doing. This is the impact that we're having. Keep that at the core of your mind every single day. And then act in integrity toward everyone you work with, everyone, right? Some people might be quote unquote more important than others or more instrumental to your goal. Don't be the kind of person that treats that person better or treats that person differently than you would treat everybody else. Everybody deserves your respect. Everybody is worthy of being treated with integrity and with respect by you. And of course, remember to never ask any of these people to do anything that you wouldn't do yourself. Let's talk about showing up in that full identity. Let's talk about being magnetic for a second, because being magnetic is the magic. Being magnetic is what attracts people to follow a leader. Leaders are magnetic. People want to be like them. People want to do what they do. So this is not something you're born with, contrary to popular belief. Sure, some people a little more naturally charismatic, a little more outgoing, sure. But you don't get to be magnetic just by showing up. Okay, it's just really comes down to being fully in alignment with your dreams and your goals, and fully expressing that. Think about the people in your life that inspire you the most. It could be people that you actually know in real life, or it could be people that are media figures or leaders outside, political leaders, business leaders, athletes, anybody, musicians, anybody that really inspires you. And think about why they inspire you, right? They're on mission. They're on purpose. You know what they stand for. Right? You know what they're going for. You know what their goal is. You know what they're trying to do. And you know why. Because they're showing it. They're talking about it. They're excited about it. They're exuding it. Right? When you look at Serena Williams, none of us have to wonder what her goal is or why she's doing it. It's obvious. Shines out of every pore of her being all the time. Right? Think about that. Think about how can you become magnetic? Because some of us, especially early in our careers, if you think about when you're younger, when you're working for other people, when you're trying to get up in the world, there's a lot of training and conditioning to try to just do what other people want, or be who other people want us to be, or be like this. I call this the Coming to America problem. If you guys remember that old Eddie Murphy movie from the 80s, when he was going to get married, and there was an arranged marriage, and the king and the queen bring in the bride. He says, wait a second, let me just talk to you. And he takes her to the other room, and he says, what kind of music do you like? And she's like, whatever music you like. And he's so frustrated. He's so bored, because he doesn't want somebody that just wants to do whatever he wants to do. He wants somebody who's her own person. He has to go to America to find this person in the movie. You're going to attract who you are. You're going to attract what you are. So when you're radiating with this kind of alignment, People are going to want to be around you, and they're going to want to be like you. They're going to want to emulate you, which is fantastic, because that means they're going to want to radiate with their own alignment and really step into their own power. Remember, stepping into your power is giving other people permission to step into theirs. This isn't pie. So best of all, when you attract these other people that are in alignment, they're going to inspire you too, because they're in alignment doing whatever they're doing. So this is an amazing feedback loop, because now you've got that thing we talked about where you're spinning each other up, and it's beautiful. You're also going to repel who you aren't. And this is where people screw this up a lot, is because they're really afraid to repel people. They're afraid, oh, if I do this, it's going to upset this kind of person, or this kind of person isn't going to like me, or these kind of people aren't going to want to engage with what I'm doing. Guess what? That's going to be true no matter what. So let's do it on purpose. You want to repel who you aren't. Okay, you're going to repel these people. They are not your people. That's okay. And in fact, it's desirable. We like it. We want to repel the people who are not in alignment with our mission. We don't have time to waste on trying to bring people under the umbrella that are not on the fence already. If there's people that are on the fence, we can bring them in the umbrella. Great. If there's people that are never going to move, and you know the difference, if you really think about it, you can tell the difference. People that are never going to move, let them go. Let them go, because we've got all these people we can bring in that are right here, and we can get stuff done. We don't need to worry about these people that are out here. You're going to be so much more successful if you focus on working only with the people who share your vision and share your alignment. Again, that doesn't mean we're not bringing anybody else under the umbrella. That doesn't mean we're not exuding what we mean, but that's going to attract the right people. It's going to attract other people that feel that hear that see that, and say, yes, 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 they're coming. Everyone else, no, I hate that. Cool, bye. That's all right. We want that. So let's talk about aligning for impact for everybody, right? Because we got to find this shared why. So your why, you know, your personal why, you wrote it down earlier. Everyone's got their own personal why, whether they've actually taken the time to articulate it or not. Everyone's got motivation, their own motivation when they're walking around with. Now, when you're working with a whole team of people, their why does not have to be exactly the same as yours. In fact, it won't be. Your why won't be exactly the same as anyone else's. But you do need to make sure that there's a shared why, that everyone in the organization is on the same page about the desired outcome. What are we trying to do here? And on what timeline, right? Everyone needs to at least be there. We can debate all the other questions, the how and the when and who and all that stuff, the what, right? But what's the outcome? When are we trying to do it by? Now we get everybody excited to achieve it from their own perspective of their own whys. Okay, so let's talk about inspiring others to get there. Because the most important part of leadership, in my opinion, is the ability to inspire others, right? Leaders need people to come along and help out. You got to inspire people, or they're not going to want to do that, at least not very long. Maybe the hyenas worked for Scar for a little while, and then they all got mad. They all kind of organized against him eventually, right? You got to be able to inspire people and keep that up. So that involves being really genuine, showing up as exactly who you are, working with integrity, caring about other people. That's going to get you most of the way there. That's 90% of it, right? Because people can tell the difference between somebody who's kind of faking it or has a facade on or who's even kind of sleazy, and someone who's just generally showing up as exactly who they are and working from alignment with their own core values. But to be able to be truly inspirational, to be a really awesome leader, you do have to have this extra skill of being able to bring other people into that umbrella, being able to enroll people in that vision. Right? So let's talk about enrolling. What do I mean when I say enrolling? That's a weird word. Enrolling versus telling. Okay. So to get everybody in your organization pulling together, they need to not only understand why are we doing all this, what's the ultimate outcome, but they have to be invested in it. They have to care about that too and say, yeah, I want that too. And I want to work for that. Not just because you said so, but because I am intrinsically motivated as an individual to work toward that outcome. So first we've got to be able to show it, right? If you can achieve this, if you're the kind of person that can set a vision, that you can show it to other people and you can get them excited saying, yeah, that's me, that's in, I want to do that, I'm in, right? That's enrolling. It's not, hey, here's what we're going to do, guys. It's what if we could this, right? If you can achieve this and you get everybody bought in that way, you're not going to spend time managing anyone or trying to get anyone to anything, right? You're just going to spend time guiding. What if we did it this way? Or what if we did it this way? But everyone's going to be directing their own ship in the armada, right? So keep your own mindset strong and try to help keep everybody else's mindset strong around what's possible for your organization, for the team, if you're all enrolled in that and pulling together. It's okay to be vulnerable, by the way. In fact, it's important because it's part of authenticity. right? It's okay to be vulnerable and say, hey, I'm feeling this about this, or this is bothering me and here's why, but never fall into that negativity. I mean, I know I say never, and never is a hard word because everybody does sometimes, but really try to keep yourself out of a negative space. And that sounds like we can't, we shouldn't, we won't, you know, this will never, those kind of black and white things. Just say, but hey, I'm feeling a little daunted by this. This is a little bit intimidating to me. Can we talk about how we're going to do it? Those little shifts are going to make a huge difference in people wanting to be around you and under your umbrella and follow the vision that you're enrolling in and being like, oh man, no, I'm out. Let's talk about this as servant leadership. Because what's really important here to all of this is to build trust with people. And again, when we're talking about coordinating people, managing volunteers, managing people that are peer level, managing up, this becomes even more important because you can always get away with a little bit of that strong arm. Not that you should, but you could always get away with a little bit of that strong arming when people work for you. But when it's a different situation, you got to coordinate peers. This becomes vital. This is the only way this is going to work. Everyone has to be bought into the mission, right? Then they can find and they can communicate their own why. Well, here's why this is important to me. Here's who I'm trying to help. Here's what I want to do. Here's my story from when I was a little girl that made this important to me. And here's mine, and here's mine, and here's mine. And we can all talk about why we want to be here. Once they're able to see that big mission and see that big outcome, they're going to be, here's why I want to be here. Here's the strengths I bring to the table. Here's how I can best contribute. I'm really good at this. I'm really good at fundraising. I'm really good at communications. I'm really good at organizing things. Great. Here's what I can do to contribute. You're not having to tell them to do anything. They're excited to show up and do it. Some folks are going to need more help than others when it comes to being able to articulate that why and get it down, or when it comes to feeling comfortable communicating it to you and to the rest of the team. That's okay. Strive to create safe spaces where everybody feels okay writing things down, taking risks, sharing what they're feeling. And that starts with you doing that. Again, we're not asking anyone to do anything that we're not willing to do. So you got to lead with, here's how I'm feeling. Here's my intention. Here's why I want to be here. Here's what I'm doing, right? Create that safe space for everybody else to do it too. When you're successful in this, this is what builds the trust. The trust is the glue. We got to have that. This trust is vital in the 5% of situations that are really high stakes. I'm talking about, okay, something happened with something went really wrong. There's an emergency. There's horrible deadline pressure, or something screwed up, and now you're the leader. You're going to have to 5% of the time be like, everybody, just do it. Just do it, and I will explain why later. I don't have time for context, whatever. 5% of the time, if you're finding yourself doing it more than that, you're not doing this right. But 5% of the time, there's situations that are going to arise that are going to involve that. And if you have not built that trust and there hasn't been that safe communication and you don't understand what's going on with everybody in your team and their motivations, they're going to be like, why should we listen to you? And, chances are better than not that emergency situation isn't going to go very well because you're not going to be able to get everybody pulling together right when you need to do that most. So that is vital. Part of the way that you can create this trust is by seeking feedback. Feedback fosters this trust if it's done with compassion and caring at the core. It's never nasty feedback. This is a two-way street. I'm giving feedback and I'm getting feedback, and we're always doing this with compassion for the other person and caring for their individual why, trying to help them along their path at the core of that feedback. Okay, so if you have been in a management position or are currently in a management position at work, giving feedback is part of your job, but receiving feedback is even bigger part of your job, okay? When you proactively seek feedback in that situation or in a volunteer situation or any type of situation, right, you're demonstrating that you value what other people think. You're saying, hey, you're important to me. Your opinion is important to me. I care about what you think. Also, I care about growing. I care about getting better. Also, I care about transparency. I care about safety. I need you to tell me what I can do better. I need you to tell me how I can improve, and I will tell you the same. And let's create an environment where we can communicate those things to each other safely so that we can all get better together and we can all get toward the goal faster. Start from a place of curiosity when you are hearing feedback and when you are giving feedback. Start from a place of curiosity. You don't know exactly why somebody is doing that thing that you don't want them to be doing anymore unless you ask, unless they tell you. Same thing, start with a place of curiosity when they're giving you feedback. Try not to get defensive. Remember that it's a gift, right? I'm curious how what I do, which is perfectly justifiable in my own mind and heart, by the way, because I'm me, how does that affect you? I'm curious. I will listen while you tell me that. I want to receive that. When I receive that, that other person feels safe to now take feedback from me. And now we can create that two-way street that makes us all more effective, more efficient, and just fosters our relationship with that person, which is lovely. Part of this, when you hear about those weaknesses, you hear about those growth areas, to really take note, because you've got to supplement your weakness to be able to grow into good leadership, right? So it's always fun to uncover our strengths, right? I love doing those strengths finder tests to say, oh, you know, you're extroverted, you're great at talking to people, you're great at writing and speaking. I go, oh, yeah, I know, thanks. You know, okay. More importantly, where are you weak? Where, you know, what are the things that you could do? Oh, maybe you're not the most detail-oriented person, Michelle. You know, maybe you need somebody else that can help you do that. Or maybe you need to work harder on getting good at that area yourself. It's really, really important to be vitally aware of these weaknesses, okay? You've got to focus on your growth areas and get better, but also good leaders are looking to supplement these weak areas by working with people who complement their strengths, right? I'm a creative person. I work really well with people who are detail oriented because that's not my strength. So I need someone to manage all the details so that I can just show up and do the creative stuff, right? I love working with people. I like talking to people, but I have people on my staff that just love, eat, live, and breathe networking and going to conferences. It's wonderful, especially now that I'm getting, toward middle age, I'm getting a little tired. It's wonderful to be able to have people on my staff that I can deploy and say, go make friends. That's your job. And they love that, So I can work on my own growth, but I'm also going to make sure that I work with other people that are supplementing that. And it's the same thing when it's even more important, again, when we're working in an all volunteer situation, or if we're working with other leaders, especially when we're working with other strong leaders who might be very, very rooted in their strengths. It might be very obvious what their strengths are. We tend to run towards our strengths. And those of us who have been successful, right, we tend to have gotten praise, we've gotten money, we've gotten accolades, we've gotten, what for our strengths, and we get excited and we do that more. And you're working with other leaders who have done that as well. Everybody's rooted in their own unique strengths, right? How is their strength complementary to mine? I need to stop and say, great, I'm really great, I'm really strong, awesome, so are you, great. Where am I weak? Where are you weak? How can we complement each other? Now we're gonna get things done together, okay? This is really, really important when you're thinking about unconscious bias, because of course we like people that are like us. Oh, I get you, you get me, you remind me of me, son, you remind me of me, right? How much does that go on, right? That feels good in the moment, but it is terrible for getting anything done in the long run. You gotta be aware of these unconscious biases that compel you to hire or collaborate with people that are just like you. And this is everybody. This is, we talk about that a lot from the frame of the oppressor. But a lot of us are like seeking to just be with people who think exactly like us, who look exactly like us, who have the same strengths we do, other creatives. I have ADHD. I like other people with ADHD because they talk fast, and so do I, and we get each other. That's cool. I like having those friends. Also really, really, really important for me to work with other types of people, collaborate with other types of people who can supplement me where I am weak, right? But back to the good stuff, shining in your own genius. You're strong at something. You're strong at a lot of things. What are those things that you're really good at? Do you have them written down, right? What are you great at? This is how you can create this time, by the way, to work on this weakness, is to work on your strengths as well. So when you're shining your own genius, it looks like this. Give yourself time every week to just run with the wind at your back, doing the thing you're great at. I started blocking off one day a week, and my team hates this, by the way, but I'm loving it. One day a week where I just get to create stuff. I just get to write. I just get to think. I just get to create trainings. I'm working on a book. I just get to put myself out there, and that means no meetings. That means no phone calls. That means no medical appointments. That means, my kids can call me in an emergency, but that's it. And everything else is blocked off, and I'm just doing that for one day a week. I do it on Tuesdays, okay? And I get to, and this is part of it, because this is part of my genius. I love to present, I love to talk. So this is what I do on Tuesdays. Nothing else gets into my Tuesday. It's wonderful, because what it means is that I spend the whole rest of the week looking forward to Tuesday. Do this. Encourage the people that you're working with to do the same thing. You can't make them do it, but say, hey, when's the time that if you're a detail person, when's the time that you got to focus just for the whole day on just checking things off your list, just working in your spreadsheet, just whatever those detail people do, right, that they love to do? What's going to calm you down? Don't say it like that, but that's what you're thinking, right? When do you get to just do the thing that you're great at? I'm going to just do the thing that I'm great at today. Treat this time as sacred. It's only going to get interrupted for real emergencies. Sometimes I make my clients just write down, the 5 things that they could think of that would be real emergencies. My spouse got in a car wreck, or my kid got in trouble at school, or whatever. And they stick it up on a sticky note. And really it's like everything else that is an emergency gets measured against what's on their sticky note. What's a real emergency? Treat this as sacred. Don't let people interrupt it. Get into this habit I'm challenging you to do this. This is going to ensure that you always have something to look forward to in your work. Oh, Tuesday, I get to write, I get to create, I get to do what I'm good at, right? Or Tuesday, if I'm a people person, I get to just talk to people all day. I get to check in with all my friends. I get to go to networking events. I get to, you know, back when we did that, or I get to go and do Zoom happy hour, whatever I do, right? Looking forward to that all week is going to ensure that you now have something so that when you have to do all the other stuff, because we all have to do all the other stuff for the rest of the week, and when everyone else has to do all the other stuff for the rest of the week, that, you know, they've got something that they say, okay, but I'm not frustrated that I'm not getting to do that thing I'm amazing at. Do this, encourage other people to do it so they're showing up fulfilled. So they're showing up feeling like they have gotten to do what they're amazing at. They feel good. They feel in their full identity, their full power. You feel in your full identity, your full power, right? This is going to keep you aligned. Encourage other people to do it too, so that you're not showing up frustrated at all the things you wanted to do that you didn't get to do, and neither are they. And at the end, never lose sight of this why. So I want you to take your piece of paper and I want you to just think about what you're going to do next. I'm hoping you got some things out of this. Maybe some really concrete action steps, or maybe it just made you think about something that you want to explore a little more. Maybe you want to do a type of personality test, or you want to ask somebody what motivates them. Or maybe you want to block off your time for your Genius Day. Whatever you want to do. I just want you to take a minute and I want you to write down 2 or 3 action steps for what you are going to do next. Let's call it 3. Write down 3. 1, 2, 3. These are the 3 things I will do. Actionable items from what I learned here today. All right, while you're doing that, we're gonna go to Q&A. All right, so some of you out there, why don't you give us a couple of ideas about some things that you took away from this? What are your whys? Type in the chat box. Thanks, Frank. Tell me about your why. Tell me about your compass. Why do you do what you do? What did you write down if you want to share it? While you guys are doing that, I'm just going to advance to my contact info so you all have it. If you want to get in touch with me, here it is. You can just email me at michelle@michellecoyle.com with any questions that come up or anything else that you'd like to talk about. Brianna, I love the Mufasa and Scar. Thank you. What if the why is purely economic? The folks only need to raise funds. Susan, great question. I think it's what are they raising the funds for? Right. They got to be raising the funds for something. Is it just to keep the organization going? Is it just to perpetuate itself? Or is it because that organization has a mission that's only going to be achieved if the organization perpetuates itself? They got to have been organized in the first place around something. Right? What were they organized to do in the first place? Has the organization gotten away from that, Susan? Think about that. Because if you're just raising money for an organization just so it can perpetuate itself, just so we can all keep paying ourselves or whatever, why is that how we want to spend our time? Wouldn't we rather spend our time on some kind of mission? How do we get back to that core mission where the organization was founded around in the first place? And have we drifted away from that? Do we need to get back to that to find out why? So questions, I'm answering your questions with questions. So this is important. Yeah, to keep the org operating, of course, but for what? For why? Why are we operating? Why do we care? Right? Yeah. Philip's saying, because I want to help small businesses achieve success in their businesses. Absolutely. Because what happens when we help small businesses grow? Right? Not only are we in a lot of ways saving that individual business owner's life, right? Because now they're making money that they weren't making before. Now they can feed their family. Now they can pay their bills, but now they can also turn around. They can create jobs for other people. They can be the kind of boss that they never had. They can create a safe environment for people. They can do whatever their business does with genius amazingly, and they can serve their clients. They can serve their customers. Maybe they make enough money that they can donate to charity. You know, there's always more levels of why behind this. And I love it. Helping the LGBTQ younger generation feel empowered to grow and learn. Love it. Love it. Right on mission with me as well. Right? Helping people in need. Helping the voiceless. I love it. Yes. Yes, Mark. Thank you. Viability. Yes. Susan says, I love seeing people fulfilled and focused. Absolutely. You're great at connecting people to resources. Great. You might be a people person. You're a connector. Connectors are so important in this, right? And sometimes we overlook the connectors. sometimes if we're connectors, we're people. We've been even derided early in our career. Oh, like, you're just a social butterfly. You just don't actually want to do any work. It's very, very important work to network, to find the right people, to connect them together, to connect them to the right resources, to say, oh, you might want to talk to so-and-so, and you might want to talk to so-and-so. Vitally important to achieving all of our missions. So thank you, Susan, for doing that. I love these. Networking strategically is everything. It's good. And you will become, if that's the kind of person you are, you're a people person, lean into that, because you'll become very, very valuable to everybody around you when you're the person that knows the other person, right? I've enjoyed it in my career. I say, I don't have to know everything. I just have to know somebody that knows everything, right? I just have to know somebody else that knows that, or I have to know how to find them, right? All right. Roger, I'm a substitute teacher. I want to inspire students to be successful in their life. I love that. And writing a book and owning a business, doing a lot, Roger. And I'm sure you are inspiring them right now. Owning a business and writing a book and teaching at the same time, that's not easy. You're absolutely inspiring them. Do you feel, so there's this theme coming up, and type in the chat box if you agree. Do you feel that in your organizations or in your experience that some of the organizations you're leading have veered off track from the core mission and are just kind of now trying to keep themselves going without remembering why they started in the first place? Is that a thing? Type it in the chat box if so, or if you have thoughts or questions about that. I think sometimes, especially when an organization has existed for a long time, for years or for even decades, that can be true. The why can start to drift from the original mission and onto something like, well, because it's always been here, or because we've always done it this way, or because it's an institution, around here. I don't think that's good enough. I think there has to be that core why for who are we helping, or why was this organized in the first place? And I think we have to stay in touch with that. Yeah, you get pulled in a bunch of different directions. And that's true, and that's all of us. That's us as organizations, but that's us as individuals, right? I mean, if you think about, so I'm a 40-year-old mom, and I own a business, and I like to do this kind of stuff, and I'm writing a book, and it's just like, and I've got hobbies, right? I'm pulled in a million different directions every single day. And that's why I have to do this mindset work and get myself refocused. We have to refocus ourselves. We have to refocus our organizations, not just once. This is not one annual retreat. We got on mission. Now we all know the mission and, set it and forget it. This is every single time we're getting together. We're starting with why out loud. Yeah, right. Philip says we look at the mission and we articulate it often. We manage for the mission. That's so important, just like it is for yourself. Why am I doing this today? What are the 3 things I'm going to do today? Why are we doing this? What are the next 3 things that we're going to do? Of course, Mark, COVID has definitely impacted the mission for everybody. It's been really, really, really hard. I work with small business owners. The first thing that happened with all of our clients is I got hundreds of people calling me in a panic all at once, right? All freaking out. What am I going to do with my business? We had to pivot every single business in the world, but the way that we pivoted every business for every one of our clients who were almost all impacted by COVID, and I'm talking about salon owners and people, things like that, where it's just like, oh my gosh, the whole thing is shut down. Right? We started back with refocusing on why. Why did you start doing this in the first place? What was the need that you were trying to solve for what type of person? And what can you do instead that's different to meet that same need? Because the need didn't go away. Just the way that you met it is not possible right now. So now we have to find a new way to meet it. But if we find a new way to meet the same need, we're back on mission. You should have seen some of the cool, inspirational, innovative pivots that people came up with, just starting back with that why. It's so simple, but it's not easy. And it's really, really important. That's right, Isabel. We're back down here in Maslow's pyramid, right? We all got back into survival mode, and then we started to realize, hey, we're gonna get out of this together. Right, we're gonna get out of this together. We've got to connect to our mission. We've got to figure out what to do together as a team. I'll give it another second in case there's any more questions or comments to come through. All right, I'll turn it back over. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Awesome spending time with you today.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Michelle, and thank you all for your participation and question and input during this amazing talk. It was so great to see all your enthusiasm and, and excitement regarding leadership and chamber governance as a topic as a whole. We would like to welcome you all again as a reminder to join us for the CLA Coffee Connection, which is an optional networking event that will start at in about 15 minutes, around 12:30. So you have time to, freshen up and join us again for that 30-minute optional networking event. The registration for the link for the registration has been shared in the chat box, a few minutes ago, but we will share that again. Lastly, thank you so much for all your love and support, and we look forward to seeing you in our next training pod, which is going to be on strategic planning and business plan development in September. So please stay tuned and visit our website, chamberleadershipalliance.org, for more information regarding our upcoming training events. Thank you all for your time again this morning, this afternoon, depending on where you are. And thank you, Michelle, for an exciting and amazing talk. We really appreciate it, and have a good rest of your day, everyone. Thank you.